Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mama Ali Hakim bin Bahrain.
Hi, my name is Ahmad Shazili bin Muhammad Syahari.
Let's go into the first question. The question A1 requires us to construct a 95% confidence interval for the true population of male. So the first thing we need to do is to extract all the information that we're given. We know that the standard deviation is 60 liter, the number of random sample household is 144, and the average daily water usage is 520 liters. We know that standard deviation, we can derive the variance. Therefore, we can conclude that this question involves the interval estimation for the mean when the population variance is known. Therefore, we need to remember that probability of negative z alpha over 2 less than z alpha over 2 is equal to 1 minus alpha. We know that standard deviation, we can derive the variance. Therefore, we can conclude that this question involves the interval estimation for the mean when the population variance is known. Therefore, we need to remember that probability of negative z alpha over 2 less than z alpha over 2 is equal to 1 minus alpha. Substitute the equation to find the z-score of sample into this equation. Move the denominator to the both sides, and then we subtract the x bar both sides, and we divide by negative 1. Bear in mind, when we divide by negative 1, the symbol of inequalities will change. To interchange this, therefore, we can get the lower value on the left hand side and the greater value on the right hand side. After that, we can calculate for the 95% confidence interval. So 1 minus alpha is equal to 95%, and alpha is equal to 0.05, and alpha over 2 is equal to 0.025. And then we plug in all the information that were given into this equation, and then we can find the z alpha over 2 in the z-score table, and we got our final answer, which is 510.2 and 529.8. And then the question 2, the company claims that the average daily household water usage is 500 liters. Since the claimed average value of 500 liter does not lies in the confidence interval, therefore we can conclude that the claim is not supported. Let's move on to question 1b. Question 1b1 wants us to find a 90% confidence interval for the difference in mean score between the two classes. Same as previous question, we need to jot down all the information that we given. And as we can see here, the number of samples are small. Therefore, we can conclude that this question involves the interval estimation for the difference between two population means of small sample. The first thing we need to do is to check the ratio of the larger variance and smaller variance, whether it's less than 3. After that, we can continue to find the value of 90% confidence interval between two means. Same as before, we need to find the alpha over 2. Here we know that the alpha over 2 is 0.05. But in this question, require us to do the extra step, which is to find the S-pool. To find the S-pool, we need to plug in all the information that were listed into the S-pool formula, and we get the S-pool value of 9.47. Then we can plug in all the information from previously into the formula to find the interval. Bear in mind, when we're dealing with the small sample, we are using the t-distribution. As we find earlier, our alpha over 2 is 0.05. We will get the value from the t-distribution table. After that, we plug in all the information into the formula, and we get our final answer, which is negative 11.2811 and negative 0.7189. And the question 2 asks to determine whether there is a significant difference between the average score of the two. Since 0 is not one of the value in the interval, we can conclude that the two means differ significantly.
So let's move to question 2. Question 2 gives us the weekly sales in thousands for a sample of 10 supermarkets. Question A needs us to determine the points estimate for the population mean and the population standard deviation. And for question B, we need to construct a 95% confidence interval for the population variance. So based on the question that we're given, we can identify that we need to use case 2 for question B because the mean is unknown. So let's move on to question A. So to calculate population mean, we can use the formula summation x over n, and we will get that mean is equals to 147.03. And for population standard deviation, we can get the population standard deviation by square root the population variance. So this question we get population variance is equals to 1.351. So we square root that number and we will get that population standard deviation is equals to 1.162. So for question B, we need to construct a 95% confidence interval of the population variance. So the first step is we need to find alpha over 2. We're given that 1 minus alpha is equals to 95%. So we solve for alpha and we get alpha is equals to 0.05. Thus alpha over 2 is equals to 0.025. Next, since the mean is unknown, we need to use case 2 formula, which is n minus 1 sample variance over chi-square alpha over 2 n minus 1. So we need to substitute all of the information that we have listed in the formula, and we will get that the confidence interval at 95% is 0.639 and 4.503. So for question B, we are given two brands of batteries, brand A and brand B. So the first question A, we need to find a 90% confidence interval for the ratio of the variances. And for question B, we need to conclude that whether the variance is equal or not based on the interval obtained in A. So the first step is we need to list all of the information that were given in the question. So what we get is that brand A has 11 number of samples, meanwhile brand B has 8 number of samples. So the next step is we need to find the sample variance of the respective brands. So the sample variance of brand A is equals to 5.454. Sample variance of brand B is equals to 3.238. So to find the ratio of variances at 90% confidence interval, first step is we need to calculate the alpha over 2. Since we're given 1 minus alpha is equals to 0.9, alpha is equals to 0.1. Thus alpha over 2 is equals to 0.05. The next step is we need to substitute all of the information that we have listed above in this equation. And we solve the equation to get that the ratio interval is 0.45157 and 2.214473. So for question B, we need to conclude that the variances are equal or not. So since the variance ratio includes the value 1, we can conclude that the variances are equal.